Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just wait. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting, because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real.
It's
Because
Monday,
it is the most,
May
it is the
4th.
realest thing
Do
on the
you
air anywhere. Whether
know
it be,
what
online,
time
whether it be on
it
radio.
is? It's
Thank you for joining
Al Sharpton's time. And for these next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our all you have to do is call us at 877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and you can speak your mind, your heart, talk about the issues of today, because today, Monday, is Hot Button Monday. That's where we talk about everything happened over the weekend and where we feel about it. Maybe couldn't let it out over the weekend wherever you were, but you can let the nation hear, other parts of the world really, listen to this show, and you can use it as your forum. I can say that voting rights groups are rallying to fight the Supreme Court decision, the Court 6-3 decision struck down Louisiana's second black majority congressional district as an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. That's their language. Unconstitutional racial gerrymander. And it weakens the power of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And civil rights groups around the country, like the Power Coalition for Equality, like NAACP, Mississippi, Solve, National Action Network, all of us will be pushing legal and physical action, marches, non-violently coming together. We're in the middle of a meeting, had several meetings last night, and some more today, and some of the entertainers that are in New York for the Met Gala, I'm going to be talking with to get them involved in fighting for our voting rights, because this is a consequential battle. And if they take away and get away with taking away the voting rights, then how do we deal with anything of substance until we straighten that out so that we have the right representation? We can't salvage the expiration of the Affordable Care Act. We can't deal with the criminal justice reform, as in the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. We can't advance reparations because it's going to be the government that has to do that. So I think it is imperative that all of us from every field, from the lowest income to the highest income, from whatever trade you in, everybody has to weigh in on how we turn this around. This is an emergency. One of the things that is going to be interesting is that the voting rights groups, as in any law or any ruling, I should say, by the Supreme Court, has 25 days to respond. And one of the things that in the meetings we had over the weekend, that was part of our strategy was to see whether or not they are going to rule. The Supreme Court can say, well, we're holding our ruling. We're not changing the ruling. But it can't apply to those elections or those states that are already in the midst of elections, which they've done in the past. In fact, there was one time where the decision dropped in January. The elections were not till June, and they said it couldn't apply to that election. This was much closer. And I think that this is very, very, very in much need of seeing where they're going to rule. And at the same time, we have formed National Action Network is forming NAN brigades all over the country, that we're going into these districts to pull people out to vote, to pull people out no matter what happens, that we can work. So I'll be putting that up on the website, how you can sign up for a brigade and tell us your state. We will have that up by Wednesday. I'm designing that now. And again, I'm going to meet some of these entertainers here for the Met Gala, asking them to be available to go in some of these states. Certainly if we decide to do a national march, depending on what comes out of the Supreme Court, we want everybody involved. The impact of this must not be confusion. It must be clarity. And that is why it is imperative we do this. We also see that there is continued fighting in Iran. They're claiming some carriers were attacked. There's confirmation by Iran. The United States is kind of having it both ways. I think that it is interesting that the president who promised no wars, America first, is now dealing with a prolonged war, trying to play with the 60-day rule to declare war, the War Powers Act. Let's talk about that. Also, it's interesting that South Carolina State canceled Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette's commencement speech after student pushback and, of course, safety concerns. And that is the students objected to her political positions and the tone of the commencement. The protesters raised concerns about Lieutenant Governor Yvette's position on DEI. So I'm telling you, this stuff can work if we do the pressure at the right time. And that's why, we had Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I did 2 nights special on where we are with this voting bill. I had on the best and brightest you could think of. I had Hakeem Jeffries, who is the minority leader of the House of Representatives, will be Speaker if the Democrats take over. I had him. I had Congressman Carter, one of the 2 black congressmen from Louisiana directly impacted by this. I had Eric Holder, the former Attorney General of the United States, first black to hold that position. I had the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Yvette Clarke. And then the next night I had the other black congressman from Louisiana, Cleo Fields. They are the 2 that directly are in this Supreme Court decision. Had Ayanna Pressley on and others, because I wanted everybody to have clarity on what this says and what this means. And this is imperative. And that's why I just saw someone wrote on the message board saying, all hands on deck. I like that, because that's exactly right. I want everybody. All hands on deck. If you're not with it, don't get on. We don't need dead weight. And that's coming from the mayor himself, the mayor of Queensbridge houses in New York, one and only Mayor Rodney Jones. Let me say also that it is very, very, very important we understand that as much as we push forward, they're going to push back. And you saw how quickly you saw these governors, Florida, DeSantis, Alabama. Now, of course, the decision that directly affects Louisiana, all of them jumping right away, saying we need to have emergency sessions and redraw the maps. They're ready, and they're going to pull every card they have, and we need to pull every card we have to fight back. Because let's not get what I call Negro amnesia. We had to fight to get the Voting Rights Act in the first place in '65. So there's no time now to sit back 61 years later and act like we don't know what to do. They did not donate voting rights to us. Nobody woke up one morning and said, okay, let's make sure we assure blacks have protection for their vote. We fought. People died. People shed blood. People went to jail to get us the rights. So you and I think we're not going to have to fight to keep them? That's what this is about. What will history say about this generation? Were we the ones that dropped the ball? Or are we the ones that took the ball and kept moving down the road? Let's talk about all of this at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton, Hot Button Monday. Keeping it real. Be right back.
Breaking news.
We need some room. All right, hold on. Michael Jackson is the highest selling artist of all time. No one has sold more records in the history of the planet than Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson said to us, he did not want to just raise the issue of what's happening with him. He said that artists all over the world need people to stand up and protect their rights. And he said, Reverend, if we're going to stand up, if it's for all artists, I'm there. As you know, there's a big rally. His fan club is doing this afternoon. But he said, I'm coming to Harlem this morning to meet with community leaders because we want justice in the music industry for all artists. Now there'll be some that say, oh, Michael, are you doing this only because of your situation? Michael came to Harlem 2 months ago for the DNC. Now he comes for his own peers because we discussed it. Kathy and I talked about how we watched James Brown struggle, Little Richard struggle. We've seen artists, black and white and Latino struggle. Somewhere this has to stop. We do not buy records. We do not buy CDs to give money to the company. We buy it to support the artists that we like. And we want the artists to be free. We for us. And let me say this is the 4th of July weekend. Michael Jackson is an American story. Him and his family rode from Gary, Indiana, to where he's an icon all over the world. Didn't no one give him anything. He sung, he danced, he created, he produced, he spent hours in the studio. No executive did that for him. You do not have the right to take from someone what you didn't put in them. He created where he is. We appreciated it. We didn't hear about Michael when he got to Sony. We knew Michael with ABC when he was in Gary. They got thrilled when he did Thriller. We was already thrilled. We were already off the wall. And we coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry. And let me say one more thing. I don't need that loud talking now. We're on the rail. I want people to hear the message. Let me say something. I read one newspaper say, well, the record company saying they're going to wait and put out the best of Michael Jackson. You can't put out the best of Michael Jackson because the best of Michael Jackson is yet to come. He's still creating. He's still innovating. He's still the king. He's still ours and we are still his. Fans all over the world. Thousands came out in London. Thousands will come out in New York. All over the world, we're going to make it clear that our artists should not be paying back things they had no input in. The promotion budgets. James M. Two-Way will lay it out. The video budgets. All of this is charged to the artists, yet the artists have no discretion on what to say. So if they want to buy an ad with their friend, Michael can't tell them buy it in Jet Magazine because they decide the budget and charge it to the artists. That's why many of these artists have no money at the end of their career. But he wanted to fight while he was on top, so it will help your child not have to fight one day to go through what they've had to go through. Sammy Davis Jr. died broke. His wife had to become a waitress. Michael said, I owe it to Sammy. I owe it to James Brown. I owe it to Little Richard. We gonna stop this once and for all.
Where in history is this? He said we always go one step forward and two backward. Well, here we are now. The problem is not Trump. The problem is us. We are allowing ourselves to be lowered and our children to feel inferior because you don't have an I am somebody person. You got our artists calling our women bees. Our others calling us niggas. What happened to us? What happened to black and proud? What happened? I'm gonna vote. What happened? Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. What happened to us?
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is, well, they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announced it today. I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And we are taking your calls. It is Hot Button Monday. 1-877-532-5797. And I can tell you that this is a critical time to be involved. What they're doing to the Voting Rights Act, what they've done to it, as I said on Politics Nation all weekend, they've eviscerated it. It's not what's going to happen, it's happening. And we need all hands on deck, as the mayor said, because this is as serious as it gets. And that is not hyperbole. That's the fact. And I really, really want people to understand what's at stake here. This is not, if we don't do this, they'll do that. No, they've done it. We've got to back it up. We've got to undo it. And I think that we, old, young, wherever we are, we must deal with this. And we are seeing people all over the country rising up and dealing with this, and we need to deal with it. I want everybody from superstars to people that have no status at all. It's time for all hands on deck. There was, when they started the civil rights movement of the 60s, because there were civil rights movements before the 60s and after the 60s. We still in one. But in the 60s, when they brutalized, tear-gassed, and beat John Lewis and Hosea Williams and our own sister Amelia Boynton on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, it rallied people all over. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking to these people, some of our entertainers tonight at the Met Gala. James Brown, Dick Gregory, other top artists, Harry Belafonte, went and entertained as they marched. We were not divided. We found a way for everybody to come together. All of that created the atmosphere that led to the 65 Voting Rights Act. We must duplicate that now. And yes, we don't all agree on everything, but all of us understand that whatever our strategies are, whatever our priorities are, that if we don't have our voting power, it's going to affect everybody, whatever level of income we're at, whatever area of where you live we're at. There is no escaping the damage of this. And this is what people need to understand. And I think there's enough of an alarm out there to get everybody's attention. It's about doing the organizing that needs to see it done. And I think that it is absolutely outrageous. All right, let me take some calls. Let's get going on Hot Button Monday. Let me start the week off. It's always a good sign when I start with our first caller, my dear friend in Chicago, Illinois, the beloved Miss Eunice. Miss Eunice, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reb. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, Reb, it's a shame. We got to fight on every front. Voting, housing, health care, and on and on. And so now is no time to play because it's a serious matter out here. And when you think of all the people losing their jobs, high prices, Spirit shut down, I think it was about 17,000 people who lost their jobs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know what they expect, which they don't care about us anyway. And moving right along, Pam Bundy is supposed to testify, I think, the end of this month. And what are they going to do if she doesn't? It's time for this woman to be held accountable because it's a slap in the face what she does when she comes before the hearing.
They're saying that if she doesn't, they're going to hold her in contempt. But what does that mean? Holding her in contempt, does that mean she's facing jail or fine? What is that? I think you raise a critical question.
And they need to do them both, you know, find her and put her in jail. And, you know, I'm so sick and tired. Trump calls Hakeem Jeffries low IQ and dangerous. He is talking about himself, you know, because this man doesn't know which end is up. And it's about time for someone to put him in check. And I don't know when the Republicans are going to wake up because they sit there and do absolutely nothing. I just can't figure it out. And they have conflict of interest with Blanche being Trump's personal attorney. Now he's acting AG. So it seems as though they run the show and do whatever they want to do. So people, please wake up. It's no time to sit around and do nothing. And thank you, Rev, for taking my call.
Thank you for your call. And I think you're absolutely right. It's time for all of us to get up and get involved and do something. This is no time for disunity. There's no time for playing who's perfect. None of us is perfect. All of us have a responsibility that we must live up to. And I think that is important. On our message board, Cedric Cooper saying we must be like the children at South Carolina State University. That was commendable. Yes, it was, Cedric. And those students with no fanfare protested that and backed that situation up. That's what we need to do. And I think that we have to do the waking up. Tanya Stovall says that this is history repeating itself, pushing blacks and brown people as far back as they can, eroding all the rights, setting back all the work of M.L. King did for us. That's what they're trying to do. The question is not what they're doing. The question is whether we're going to allow them to get away with it. And I think you are right, Tanya, and the challenge is right. And I think that we need to do that. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Demetrius.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. We're talking to you as usual on this Monday. I just want to speak briefly. I'm concerned, the elections that are coming up in the various states. I think it's very important that people, when they do go to polls, to vote for candidates that's going to represent them, because they shouldn't feel like the Congress people want to represent them. They have to hold the Congress people accountable, because even going back to what they try to roll back, the voting for people, the Voting Rights Act, we need representatives to represent all Americans and the interests of Americans, because if we don't, a lot of programs won't be issued out to certain districts fairly, because you don't have the right to vote. Some Congress people and senators, they're not going to direct any funds to certain neighborhoods when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to transportation, when it comes to public buildings, when it comes to health services, when it comes to education. All that might not go to certain districts. They're going to go to certain districts where they know they're going to be held accountable by the voters. That's why it's important for people to go to the polls and also to protest when the Constitution is not being followed illegally by denying people the right to vote for voting oppression. Even the court system has to be held accountable as well if they take protesting around the court buildings or in the state capitals, around the Supreme Courts, because denying the people the right to vote affects them down the line in many different areas. Like here in Ohio, Vivek Swamy running for governor against Miss Acton. Now he have a campaign commercial on concerning sex trafficking. But the commercial will have sex trafficking. A guy, it's a black person.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to take a break. I'll come right back to you. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, that doesn't mean you become narcissistic, where you think the whole world's about you. But no, you develop a strong, healthy ego. That's right, I said it. Nothing wrong with a strong, healthy ego that makes you determined to be what others gave up on being, who may have had ability to be it, but they were too weak and they didn't think enough of themselves to do it. Think enough of yourself to do something with yourself. Unapologetic. And it is also in self-awareness and self-acknowledgement and pushing yourself forward. Again, not in a narcissistic way, not in it's me and only me way, but in a healthy ego way, where yes, I'm going to help others because that's who I am, not because I feel less than and I feel that I'm compensating something by helping others. No, I'm fulfilling me. Yes, I'm going to build and strengthen a family because that's who I am, not because I've been beat down to do it. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your achievements. Your first responsibility in life is what you do with you. God already gave you life and certain gifts and talents unique unto you. Now what you do with it, and if you do well with it, celebrate it. Unapologetic. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to the Narrow. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem. All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's. Took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. I see Akeem Smith is on saying, Reverend Sharpton, Governor Bill Lee is looking to redraw the Tennessee map. Yes, and I know that. I've heard from two of our chapters in Tennessee. There definitely going to be stops I make on this tour, and we're going to have brigades there. I know District 9 is one that's at jeopardy in Tennessee. We definitely, all over the country, they're saying that we must do what needs to be done. Akeem also is saying that ABC News did an analysis, and they said an aggressive blue state response across 7 states could neutralize the GOP power grab by 2028. And I think that analysis is right. The only thing is missing is we have got to make that drive happen. They're not going to just automatically get up DNC and do anything for us. That's why I'm trying to get everybody from preachers to entertainers and all of that has to get involved. We've got to raise the level of engagement. And all hands on deck, whoever, I read that a little while ago, they are correct. I also want to read Pauline McCullough wrote, Trump don't need to call nobody a thug. He is a high maintenance thug, a very class, if rich thug. Now, I'm glad she brought that up because I asked Hakeem Jeffries about that on the TV show Saturday night. Donald Trump had the nerve to call him a low IQ thug. Donald Trump is a 34 convicted felon. I ain't talking about indicted. He was convicted by a jury. He was convicted by another jury of sexual harassment. And his home state attorney general, Tish James, closed down what they call Trump University. Now, Hakeem Jeffries, who was a lawyer, went on to the state legislature, went on to Congress, never been arrested, in fact, is a lawyer of high regard. How do you even compare that with a felon? I mean, some things you just have to look at and say, is this guy crazy? He should never bring up being a thug when he has that kind of record. And then for DeSantis to try to mock and some phony mocking imitation of Hakeem. I mean, Hakeem was being kind, saying, I don't think that sounds like a Brooklyn accent. I think he was trying to mock him as a black man, trying to act like he was talking like black folks. But anyway, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm going to continue this week. Make sure you get everybody on it. I hope you watched it over the weekend. I'm going to stay on this issue as well as other breaking news around the country. And make sure you watch every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And I'll have the ratings in the morning. I'm sure we had many of you on this weekend. It's no time to not be alert, active, and support those platforms that will give you the truth. Also, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally. A lot of people there Saturday. Thousands were online live. Saturday Action Rally every Saturday at Mother AME Zion, the historic church on 137th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. Every week some people come from out of town. So I listen on the radio. I come to just sit in and be a part of the vibe, and that's important. You that cannot get to New York, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television or on nationalactionnetwork.net, which is our live stream on YouTube/NAN. All right, let's go back to Demetrius. Demetrius?
Hey, thank you very much, Sharpton. Yes, I just was saying, with Vivek Swamy, campaign commercial, when he talk about drug trafficking, what is illegal. But to me, it goes back to what like a Willie Horton type of campaign, showing a black person and give the impression that black people are the one who coerce or kidnap people and put them in a sex trade. When that's not true, that's an international crime, all around the world. And even those here in the United States, it's not just black people. You have Caucasians who run sex rings, different races, and some of them, the main ones who participate and have the monetary ability to transport people around the world and around the country. And to me, for him to use that type of advertisement shows, his mindset when it comes to other issues for the people of the state of Ohio. And he'll use that type of persuasion, racial stereotyping,
right,
concerning sex trade, but he won't bring up anything about his main backer, Donald Trump, when it comes to the Epstein files. He won't bring that up when it comes to an accusation with Donald Trump involved illegally with molestation and oppressing females. So,
underage females. Underage females is some of what they're hiding in them Epstein files.
Yeah, sure it is. He's not bringing that up at all. So to me, for him to be elected governor, it'll be a devastation for the state of Ohio. It'll be a devastation for the constituents of Ohio, the citizens of Ohio, and it'll be non-partial. And it'll trickle down to the justice system as well, because he had ability to appoint judges. If some judges resign, if a judge pass away, he can appoint them. He'll be able to appoint Congress people if it be an empty Congress spot. So he don't need to have the government responsibility. He shouldn't have that office at all. And lastly, I want to speak when it comes to Iran. Donald Trump said over the weekend, that Iran did issue a peace initiative, but he said he not going to even look at that. And he said he don't think they can offer anything he really going to consider. So that to me, he said he's not considering the oil prices here in the United States. He's not considering inflation here. He's not even looking at the plan, and he's not even making public of those who represented him at the negotiating table, so the American people can see what the plan is. It might be something that can be negotiable, but he have a different motive of not even wanting to pull the troops back in the war.
Right.
Yet just having the American people go through this economic struggle. And lastly, I just want to mention concerning crime. I believe it's important, for the justice system, for those who commit crime. If they commit a crime and they have no type of remorse, they shouldn't be returned back to the streets. Even when it comes to juveniles, we have a real problem, even here in Cleveland, juveniles committing crimes, because they know 9 times out of 10, they're going to be returned back to the streets. They're not going to stay incarcerated. Sometimes they don't even go to juvenile hall.
Right.
So they come back and do the same crime. People not safe riding the buses. Some people get robbed on the buses by juveniles. It's not just juveniles don't go to school. You have some of them who feel like it's just a fad. It's a thing to do. But I don't know, because of social media, or they know it's no consequences. So they have to be held responsible by the parents and even by the criminal justice system as well. Thank you very much, Reverend Sharpton.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me go to the mayor in Queensbridge Houses in Queens, New York, Mayor Rodney Jones.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello, my chef. Good afternoon, my chef. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Hey, I'm blessed to speak to you. I can't wait to see what Aisha got for you tonight. The gala. I know you're going to be fly. But listen, okay, after this ruling, right, with the Supreme Court, conservative majority Supreme Court ruling, okay, Governor of Cali, Governor Newsom did redistricting, right? He did redistricting. So I don't understand, okay, Virginia did it, a federal judge, a Trumper, blocked it. But what's going on with Hochul, Shapiro, Spritzer? The ruling didn't say only southern states can redistrict, right? The ruling didn't say it's only southern states, right? They didn't say that, right?
No.
Okay, so I don't know. Are they sitting on their hands? I mean, what the moves they making? Because Governor Newsom was on top of it. What he did, all right. I forget her name. The governor of Virginia, they did it,
Spanberger.
And they tried to block it. But
right.
what? Yes, Spanberger, right? So what is the other? I don't understand what's the holdup. What are they waiting on, Rev?
I do not know. But I tend to press it that everybody's got to put all hands on deck. You asking the right questions as always. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Keeping it real.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it?
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
as we are every Monday to help kick off the week, knowing so we can do. You have to know before you do, because you may be doing the wrong thing. And this is one that is, I think, unequaled in his field of giving us the expertise of where we are and where we need to go politically. He is, of course, a Democratic strategist and founding CEO of Blueprint Strategy, LLC, Antoine Seawright. How you doing, Antoine?
Great disenfranchisement Monday to you, Reverend Al.
Yeah, that's about what it is. I think that it is absolutely a state of disenfranchisement, and people need to understand this is not theory now. This is absolute law. It does not mean we cannot work around it or deal with it directly, but we need a reality check because a lot of us are in denial, Antoine.
A lot of us have been in denial since 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed. We thought that was just going to be the end-all, be-all to racism and some of the problems in this country. And then we get the Voting Rights Act in 1965. We thought that was going to be the end-all, be-all to all of our voting issues. And then 15 years later, Reagan becomes president. As I laid out in my op-ed piece, we get a court case, Mobile. It started to unravel the Voting Rights Act. Fast forward the tape, we elect Barack Obama. People think that was the end of our problems. Problems end up getting worse. They do voter ID, starting in the South. Then they go along and do Shelby versus Holder. That took the teeth out of the gums, if you will, of Section 5 because it eliminated Section 4. Now here we are with this latest strike in the mouth, in the heart of the mouth of the Voting Rights Act this past week. And we pretty much have a piece of legislation with just ink on the page, nothing really meaningful and consequential that's going to help move us forward. In fact, it's going to dilute us to a pre-1964, 1965 environment.
As we look at the map, and I had, an all-star cast of political leaders from Hakeem to Eric Holder, everybody this weekend. As we look at the map, and we see already Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, all moving toward now trying to redraw the districts. The fact is that this is a time unlike ever before. We need maximum turnouts in our community, no matter what the district lines are. Because one, the governor's offices where they're up, the U.S. Senate offices where they're up, doesn't go by district. So one, you can impact your state no matter what. Secondly, there are, I think it was Hakeem that said on my show this weekend that it's only a 30 to 40% of the Congressional Black Caucus comes from majority black districts. They all come from blended districts, the 2/3 of them. And that if we outvote others in each district, we can do a lot of damage. Talk to us about what is Gladys Knight used to have a lyric in one of her songs, how we can make the best of a bad situation while we fight. I'm not saying don't fight, because God knows I'm planning some stuff from our NAN brigades all the way to a national march. But while we fight, how do we make the best of a bad situation?
We make the best of the bad situation by being unified. Reb, this is not the time for any of us to have a inch of division amongst ourselves. When I say amongst ourselves, particularly in the black community, I don't care who the radio host is. I don't care who the podcast host is. I don't care how you feel about the Democratic Party. I don't care how you feel about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. None of that matters at this point. The only thing that matters is protecting the little bit of progress we have left, because we really are operating in a pre-1964, 1965 environment. So that's like step one. Number two, we've got to be educated about what's on the ballot. People don't even understand. We talk a lot about the federal races, but these state races are going to be the ones that redraw these lines in the state. And so that means state house races, state senate races, governor's races are going to be important. And with all the law changing as it relates to voting rights, Secretary of States are going to be even more critical in this moment. So that's going to be important. The third aspect of this is where we've got to cut the foolishness out, believing everything we see and hear online. They are purposely trying to rig information, target our way, so that we are being hoodwinked to think or prioritize things that are not important. And I think that those are the things that are really going to focus. And I'm glad you brought up the Congressional Black Caucus, and Jeffrey's made the point about who the CBC represents. It's not just all black people. Congressional Black Caucus members represent millions of people that are not all black, and that is the power of the caucus, but also the power of the members who are in those caucuses. But now that this right-wing activist court has made their ruling, we're looking at 17 to possibly 29 Congressional Black Caucus members that could be gone away with the blink of an eye in one decision. That's how serious every single election is. And Rev, if I can make just one final point, this all goes back to 2016. Donald Trump put 3 people on the nation's highest court in 2016. Correct. And you had millions of people walking around saying, I can't vote for Hillary Clinton, her emails, super president, all these things. And now here we are 10 years later, feeling that once was a mosquito bite has now turned into a broken leg in our community.
And no doubt about it. And I'm glad you brought up this is no time for disunity, because let's not pretend that some people did not use their platforms, some radio, some cable TV, some podcasts, telling people exactly what you just said. There's no difference between Hillary and Trump. And later said it about Kamala. There's no difference between Kamala and Trump. And I think not to just shut them down, but to really hold them accountable, they need to step up now and say, look, we need to get all on one page. Because what did we get by losing? That's what you need to ask them. They said there was no difference. They elected Trump, brought him back in 2024. What did we gain from it? We're going to show the Democrats. No, we didn't show the Democrats nothing. We showed the Republicans how stupid we could be.
Well, let me tell you what we got. Because you know what they all say, some of those voices that you and I are talking about, and we all know who they are, and even some who we don't mention sometimes. You know what they said? Oh, Trump was better for the economy for me, or my money was better for Trump. Now you go look at the economic conditions created by Maganomics being a bigger failure. I guarantee you don't hear anything or nothing from any of those people who were talking about my finances were better under Donald Trump.
And he killed DEI, which some of the black aspiring business people were dependent on DEI for their contracts. So not only did they not do better, some of them are out of business. I know because they call me every day. If you had a contract with Company A, and that was part of your diversity program, Trump killed that. And that's an uncountable number of black businesses, many of whom I know personally, and many of them were at Nan's convention. So I think you're absolutely right to raise that question. Let me go to Brother Jacob in Philadelphia, WURD. Brother Jacob.
Hey, peace be unto you, Reverend Sharpton, and your worldwide audience, and to you. You know, y'all talking some good stuff, Rev, now, because the unity that we see in them, right? We don't have that. Do you know, Reverend, now, right here in Philadelphia, there are blacks that talk bad about our best black leaders, Jeffries, our mayor that's here in Philadelphia, black woman. They talk bad about them, and one thing about their side, they unified. Trump could get up there and say he gonna blow up the moon. They'll try to make some kind of excuse for him, and that's what we cannibalize our own, you know, and it's, to me, it's really ludicrous. But, you know, Reverend, now, what they're doing, they can slow it down, but they ain't going to stop us. They're not going to stop us. And if I was to ask anybody a question, I think it was President Clinton who was saying, are you better off today than you were 2 years ago?
Right.
And in reality, if a mega hat wearing American, if they were to tell the truth, they would say no. But they're not going to do that. We understand that. And that all hands on deck, we need all hands. You know, we need the LGBTQIA community in America. Look at what they're doing to their rights. Women, blacks, everybody. I'm a devout Muslim. I say we need all hands on deck. We can work together to save this republic because, again, we ain't going to have too many chances to do what we got to do right now. So it's really, like you said, Reverend Al, y'all sounding the alarm, and it better wake some of us up. You know, our population as African Americans, what we about 14, 15% of the population?
Right.
Do you know, Rev?
We're about 13 to 14%, according to their count. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we can't do it on our own. We need all patriotic citizens to get in this struggle to save this republic, and that's what I say. But you got people that say, "Oh, we don't need them. We don't need this. We need everybody we can get to help turn this thing around." And this midterms, we can sleep if we want. we gonna be deeper in the quicksand. What you say, Rev?
I say the same thing. I think that, thank you for your call. I think that sitting back saying, well, the Democrats are leading in the polls to take it. They will not take anything if you don't come out and vote. And if we don't deal with this district line, they will lure you to sleep. They had Kamala ahead almost to the end. And in the margin she lost by was the margin of our dismay and despair. Let's take a break. Be right back. Sharpton and C. Rights right after this. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
Letting the joy unfold. I'm living my life like it's golden. 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 Golden. Living my life like it's 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 golden.
Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I lived it. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Walter Phone Troy,
He was, Jack Odell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist. Wow. Jack Odell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movement would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Just us.
Just us.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be uneducated, but I am somebody. Beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. We thank you for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Al Sharpton is here. We thank
tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, me, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said disciples. And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior say, here's disciple number one. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
You live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Antoine Seawright is our co-host, and I'm after this segment, I'm gonna step. I got some, as I've been saying, some folks in town, some entertainers I cannot get to till now because they're here for the Met Gala. So I'm gonna go in some meetings with them and have Dominique cover a couple of these segments, and I know you are busy too, Antoine, so I want to get as many callers in as we can before I go, and then you have to go, but Dominique got it. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Disco Brian.
Hey, Rev and Antoine, thank you so much, and shout out to Brother Jacob, who had very kind words to say about me. All I want to say about him is that I wish I had his voice, because he's like a Don Cornelius, and I sound like some, annoying white guy. But I have a feeling that Brother Jacob will be voting the same way I will in the upcoming primary here in Philly's 3rd District on May 19th, which will be the first time I have ever voted for a Muslim candidate who I am more excited to vote for right now than any candidate in the U.S. House in my entire life, because Pennsylvania State Senator Sharif Street is exactly the kind of candidate we need right now, because he is one of the only Democrats boldly denouncing the plague of anti-Semitism and hate that is metastasizing on the far left, and yes, within our Democratic coalition. So if you're listening in Philly and you're sick of the far left's love affair with Nazi-adjacent public figures, please join me in voting for Pennsylvania State Senator Sharif Street, the only black Muslim candidate in the primary. And Rev, in my interview with the son of your friend, former Mayor John Street here in Philly, in my interview with him, which is up on Disco Brian Davis, my YouTube page, Sharif Street clearly lays out his position on Israel-Palestine, which is dignity and protection for Palestinians, prosecution for Netanyahu, and protection for Jewish Americans. He ties the threat to Jewish communities directly to the threat to black communities, because a swastika on a synagogue, Rev, like the kind that Speaker Menon in Queens just posted about that occurred last night, and a noose outside a black institution come from the same sickness. So I just wanted to circle back to the matter of unity, Rev and Antoine. My question is, when we have this white guy in Maine who just, Jan Mills just dropped out of the Maine race for the Senate there, and he's running as a Democrat. He had a Totten Kopf tattoo on his chest for 18 years. That's not just any Nazi tattoo. That is the death's head skull symbol associated with the SS units that guarded Hitler's death camps. When that man is announcing that he's going to be meeting with Tucker Carlson, who is a white nationalist propagandist, I am just wondering, gentlemen, who are we uniting with and who are we allowing into this coalition when we have that guy who, nothing but white people, nothing, and everybody from Tim Walz to Elizabeth Warren to Bernie Sanders has been going up and rallying with this guy. Not one black person has said, yeah, let's get on board with this guy. What are we doing here, gentlemen? I'd love your thoughts on that. Thank you so much.
Antoine, you're the political strategist. Give us your read on this whole Maine situation.
I think that politics is a game of addition and multiplication, not subtraction or division. And the primary process allows for the debate of ideas to take place. And that debate took place in a very narrow way. And Governor Mills did what she thought was in the best interest of the team, and I commend her for that. And she decided to step away and continue to serve her next 7 months as governor, but also give support to a stronger candidate in the race. Now, of course, no candidate is perfect, and we'll never find a perfect candidate. We'll never find a candidate that's going to be right on every issue that we may want him or her to be on. But as I said on CNN yesterday about this very same subject, is that the differences we may appear to have amongst each other do not compare to the differences we have with the other side. And I think that's where we've got to have our focus. And that's why I opened up this program today, Disco Bryant, talking about the fact that in this moment, the only thing we can stand to have is unity, nothing else. And so while I don't agree with everything Mr. Planter has said and done, I certainly agree more with him than I do the extremists on the other side who've hijacked this country.
I think also, and thank you for your call, Brian, I think also that we can have some kind of unity without uniformity, but we have to hold these people accountable. Because if you are one that wore a tattoo, a Nazi tattoo for years, and now we are told by you that you're different, well, we got to hold you accountable to that. There got to be some evidence of that going forward. People can't just jump up and say, I'm a different person without demonstrating that. I believe people can change, but they got to show me change, not just announce me change. And secondly, I think that is a critical point that Brian raised, that a lot of the political leaders that ran to his on his behalf, which I understand because they want to get the Democratic seat, and Mills rightfully saw she was weakened, but they don't have the same generosity with a lot of black controversial figures. It seems to me that some of these so-called progressives have a different measuring stick. If you are a certain race and a certain agenda, and you've done 30 years of extreme right-wing stuff, but you say the right thing, we forgive you. If you're black and you said something in the maternity ward after you was born, you'd never get pardoned for it. So again, I challenge a lot of the progressives that he named, that Brian named, that ran up to Main, but never came to Main Street for some of those in our community that empowered them. So let's play the game by one set of rules, is all I'm saying. Let's go to Joseph in Georgia. Joseph, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton and Antoine Seawright. Is Joseph there?
We lost Joseph.
Okay, we lost Joseph. Good. Let me.
Let's go to break.
Let's take a break. I'm going to throw it to Dominique, and Antoine's going to stay as long as he can. But let's keep it going. I'll be in and out, but I'm going to get these folk while they in town, dressing up and all for the night. Let's take a break. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Seawright. Be right back. Keeping it real. organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it?
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
Don't take it back.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Black. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACPP with the Defense Forces together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in the Senate.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in for the Rev in the hot seat. It's Hot Button Issues Monday, and we're taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. I know that we are still joined by Brother Antoine Seawright. Good afternoon, Antoine.
It's good to be with you. It's good to be with you to keep it.
Yeah. How you doing? I am feeling a little salty right now. Y'all know that Rev is heading to the Met Gala. And for those who know about the Met Gala, you know that you've got to be somebody to be in that room. And so I just feel like, let's just talk about that for a minute, because I think that it speaks huge volumes that Rev is invited to be in that room. And it just, speaks to a lot of not only the progress we've made, but the fact that representation matters. And so I feel like Rev is taking a bold stance in accepting that invitation and making sure that he's one who is counted as those who are in the room for the Met Gala. And we are excited, obviously, for all of, obviously, the Black excellence that's shining at the Met Gala on this evening, but certainly for a civil rights leader to be at the Met Gala. I don't know, it's a different kind of flex, Antoine. So I would take that moment to flex for my dad.
It is, Dominic, and you should, because what I don't think anybody who's attending that gala could deny is that America is a nation in crisis, or is a nation in the ICU.
That's right.
And if we're going to be rescued from the ICU, it's going to take individual healthcare professionals. If you're political, all hands on deck, healthcare professionals to rescue us. And many of those folks in that room will play a big role in that. And they need guidance, they need assistance, they need counsel. Yeah. And that's where the role of the Reverend Al Sharpton comes into play in a big way. And we need his voice to continue to be at the table. Otherwise, our community will be on the menu.
That's right. And he said it to me. I said, well, what you wearing tonight, Dad? He said, I don't care about that. I'm going to talk to some of these people I need to talk to. So you're absolutely right about that. And anywhere that we can mobilize or organize or have these important conversations, we need to obviously take that opportunity and do that. So I'm very proud of my dad for stepping out on that carpet tonight at the Met Gala, and I'm sure that all of you share my sentiments. Antoine, we got a lot going on today and certainly want to continue to talk about it. So let's go back to the phones and talk with Marvin B., who's holding on line 3. Marvin B., you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. What I wanted to do was tell y'all that I just want to cancel out on this conversation right now because I ain't got my whole thought together yet. So I'll call back tomorrow. Okay. So it's all right with y'all.
That's all right,
I'm gonna
Marvin
make
B.
sure when I call, I'm ready for what I want to say.
All right. Thank you. Brother Jacob, I see you're holding on, so let's go to you. Brother Jacob, you are keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and I didn't change my name. The name is Ron.
Ron.
But
I'm sorry. There you
You
go.
can call me this or
Oops, sorry.
That's all right.
but just don't call me late for dinner, okay?
Got
All right.
you.
Look, great. We love your father so much, and his voice is such a powerful voice. But he said something in response to a caller a couple weeks ago, or last week, and he made a reference that Harlem don't look like Harlem no more, and it was a conversation that he responded to from what a caller stated, and I'm here now, and there's been 16. There's scheduled to be 16 school closings in Atlanta, Georgia, and what's the cause of this and that? I came to Atlanta. My father moved the family to Atlanta, and we stayed in eyesight of public housing. And our bus stop was in eyesight. Was really my bus stop. Our bus stop. We got picked up from a public housing community. And Atlanta did something that really has gotten us on a track that I don't know how reversible it is. They have tore down all the public housing. And Atlanta is a place that African Americans look forward to or look at or up to. And I think that we ought to look at that now as a terrible mistake. And we're talking about closing 16 schools. And with that closure, what neighborhoods that used to be predominantly African American has been gentrified and being gentrified. I think we need to kind of take a long look, not take an emergency look at that. Because one thing that we have seen that when there's a gentrification going on, there's also a population drop going on in our schools. And if we're dropping in our population, then what our voice is going to be as far as our representation for black leadership that had any kind of eyes like Maynard Jackson in progressive leadership that we have seen and Atlanta has been known for. And for your father to say on the radio that Harlem don't look like Harlem no more, what is our political voice is going to look like?
No, I think you're right about that. But 16 schools?
16 schools have been published to be closed in Atlanta, Georgia, and you know, in the neighborhood I stay in, that has been overwhelmingly African American. A nice neighborhood, Adams Park area, have had 3 black high schools, and that people kind of drew from different sides too, and now we're looking at school closures. And I would just think that my white aggressive residents should look at their presence and see if gentrification have something to do with their presence in their mindset, and what is that mindset? I mean, that's a question I would like to ask America, and ask, what is the mindset of gentrification in light of the impact that's going on all over this country about housing in African Americans and where we living. And that policy started with Atlanta when you have a Martin Luther King that was dictating what our policy was going to be going forward. But yet that same community where Martin Luther King come from, we're the first community that have damn near demolished all of the public housing. You know, so I think we need to kind of get a good look at that and really check at where we're going if gentrification is going to be the new norm of acceptance. It's not right. It's wrong.
17 schools are being closed. Joanne Kemp 4834 online says 17 schools scheduled to close in Philadelphia. So this seems to be exactly like what you're saying. And Antoine, I don't know about you, but you know, this is part of the reason why Reverend Sharpton was saying why National Action Network bought that property in Harlem, because it is important. And during this time, you know, one of the ways to counter this gentrification is to buy back your community. Is to make sure that you are, purchasing your homes in your community and buying the businesses and doing the businesses in your community, because that's what elevates us to make sure that we continue, to stay true to our communities. And so that's one thing, Antoine. But I think that from a political standpoint, I think this brother Ron is on point, because if we're talking about whether it's redistricting, or we're talking about doing business, or we're talking about the access to jobs that obviously go away, when these businesses come in and displace us in our community, it's a lot of the trickle effect that happens, obviously. But I think from a political standpoint, I think this is a strategy that has been utilized in order to really get us moving on and moving to other communities and other neighborhoods where manipulation and other things can really run rampant because we don't have any power.
Well, Dominic, I would say this. I would say this to the gentleman's point. You deal with gentrification, you deal with that by voting in local elections.
That's right.
And that's why I say the closer your government is to you, the more important it is for you. And with local elections, just like with national elections, the common denominator is the affordability crisis brought to you and sponsored by Donald Trump and your neighborhood Republican Party. Right. And when they make housing unreachable and unaffordable, that means we can't gain the home ownership that not only creates equity and wealth, but it gives us a chance to own more than we owe. And we'll never be able to reach that if we don't start advocating, one, at the local and state level, but two, electing people who prioritize these things like home ownership and like being able to afford to be able to not only rent a home, but to buy a home with decent rates.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. That's not the case, because the terrible thing that happened in Atlanta is the closure of public housing. So let's not make that mistake, the fact that we was failing to buy houses. We was African American in the city of Atlanta was buying houses, but we closed public housing, which serve people that make 0 to 30% of the median income.
But that's cutting off the access. That's cutting off the access. So if you don't live in the community, you can't have power in the community. You can't run the community. You can't do business in the community. You can't work in the community because they're displacing you, and crippling us to the fact that now we have to go find housing and find homes elsewhere. And so I think that is a strategy, and I think that somebody mentioned it on the message board that this is a conflict of what happens with gerrymandering and what we're dealing with now and what we're seeing all across the board. So I think they work hand in hand. But somebody said that they're closing 16 schools in New York. So this is happening all over the place. And if we are not, as Antoine said, involved in that process and the political process and the voting process, we're going to lose out from everything.
Yeah, we're going to lose out if we can't be a part of that process, because we can't afford to live in these cities no more.
That's
but
right.
The main thing was wrong in Atlanta. We tore down public housing that represented a real need in our community.
That's right.
And to wipe that ability out is a moral collapse. And that's what the whole country needs to be more aware of. And how do we recover from it from Atlanta? I don't know. Well, we appreciate you all, boys. And appreciate your father has been a giant voice in our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your call. Trisha, 1989, Texas School Vouchers Program is live, and they are going to bankrupt the public schools. I guess they will be opening wellness farms. Yeah, definitely. It's happening all over, from Texas to New York to Philadelphia. We just heard about Atlanta. So this is not going away. And I think it goes deeper, Antoine, as we continue to move through this process. I hear that break music, though. We're going to take another one. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in the hot seat for Reverend Al. Taking your calls. It's Hot Button Issues Monday, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting, because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
We have a short birthday, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We would go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people come too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I drew Jesse away from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about it in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story February of 07. They came to me in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy had helped him push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know, that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But now.
London, yeah. We've got many problems here. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go. Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We've got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive.
Yes, sir.
There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network for always in the month he was killed to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene you saw.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and
yeah.
Now,
let me ask a question.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in for the Rev today as we are on It's Hot Button Issues Monday. And we're taking your calls all across the country today. You can join in on the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We were joined by Antoine Seawright, whom we are joined happily every Monday. I don't know if Antoine is still with us. Antoine, you there? Okay, but we are obviously got a lot going on and a lot to talk about. And just to sort of kind of recap, because I got in on Keeping It Real kind of late today, but wanted to weigh in obviously on some of these issues. So obviously with the Supreme Court, their decision on weakening voting rights protections, obviously we have been talking about this for quite some time, but in the recent decision, obviously, where the Supreme Court issued a 6-3 ruling, striking down Louisiana's second black majority congressional district, calling it an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Obviously, civil rights advocates have warned that this weakens Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which has historically protected black voters from discrimination and redistricting. So all over the country, we're talking about mobilizing. We're talking about how we can reconstruct and really deal with how voting is taken seriously in our community and communities all across the country. Certainly, we understand that our vote obviously is very powerful. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to take it away from us. And so with that said, it is really important now to not only hone in on the actual process. So obviously making sure that there are candidates that represent us and our well-being and our issues, but also in how we actually cast our votes. That is starting to now really become an issue, and where we vote essentially also something that is now definitely being placed on the forefront. And legislation, as we've talked about this in the past, such as the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and so many other things, definitely play a critical role in terms of how we move forward, how we move through this element. And it's not an element of surprise necessarily, but it is an element that we definitely need to take very seriously. And it's not just about Louisiana, right? It's about power, and it's about who can have it in America. So as we are watching in real time, this steady erosion of the Voting Rights Act, the same law that people marched, bled, died for, what's happening here is really strategic, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to really, really pay close attention, not only to what is happening, but what we're doing about it. And so if you can't stop people from voting outright, you redraw the map so that their vote doesn't carry that much weight. And let's be clear. This ruling doesn't necessarily happen in isolation. It follows a pattern. So as we were talking about this before, with weakening the federal oversight, with shifting the power back to the states, with forcing communities to really fight district by district battles, all of this really burdens how we really see ourselves in this electoral process and how we see ourselves showing up to actually vote. And so I feel like in this moment, we need to protect ourselves. I feel like in this moment, we need to protect the future of our children. I feel like in this moment, we need to protect the vulnerable community and the seniors and those with disabilities and so many others who have challenges and feel like there's lack of information, and we can't lose touch with each other, and we can't lose touch with the system that is really trying to burden us in a lot of different ways and on a lot of different levels. And so with that said, we at National Action Network have been, obviously this has been on the forefront for a while now, because we feel like fighting for our voter protection definitely is a priority. But we also see through this and through the work that we've done for so long, we have those statistics, we have that information, we know what communities are more vulnerable and subjected to a lot of these facings that we're seeing happening today. And so the question doesn't become what next? The question becomes, what are we doing? What do we do in this moment? And so I feel like a lot of people are really trying to grapple around, oh my goodness, this happened. Oh my goodness, this happened. Yeah, it happened. We told you it was going to happen. We knew we were destined for these things to start happening. But this now only amplifies and ups the ante for how we react to these things and how we proactively fight to protect our rights and protect the gains that we have fought so vehemently to accomplish and to overcome. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Do you believe that the Supreme Court is protecting the Constitution or undermining our voting rights? Obviously, that is a question. And this is why organizing more now really goes into play. This is why you see, us really trying to get a lot of people on board in terms of the activity and what we need to be doing together to really combat this on many different levels. The brother called before, Brother Ron called and talked to us about what's happening in Atlanta. 16 schools facing closure. In Philadelphia, we're seeing the same thing. New York, the same thing. In Texas. And so this is not something that is going to just go away. This is something that's going to continue to escalate. It's going to continue to get harder. And I think that, obviously, we care. Right? That's not the question. The question does become, though, what activity we want to really focus on in order for us to really deal with how we combat these things and how we stop them from continuing to roll out and literally dismantle our communities and everything that we fought for. So from businesses to job creation to the fact of how our children are being educated to the access and opportunities that are given to them that are presented and that are available in our communities. All of these things we need to really be concerned about in this moment. And so I think someone on the message board was talking and giving Trump quotes and talking about how, what happens if we were to just give Trump a chance, right? And, just join the bandwagon of those that, that support this current administration. And you have to ask yourself, well, what does that look like, right? What does that look like? And what does that mean for us? We can't obviously shy away from the fact that we're being displaced. Public housing is closing, the brother mentioned, in Atlanta and so many other areas. Our schools are closing. We don't have access to jobs. We don't have access to opening our own businesses in our community because we're being pushed out. And so gerrymandering is real, and it's really happening to us. And so the question, becomes, what do we do in this moment? And I feel like there are a lot of analysis and dialogue that have been happening. We just had a national convention in New York where we were joined by the who's who, from business to healthcare to education, you name it. We had a conversation about it. We had lawmakers, who are involved in this process, speak to us about what we can do, speak to us about the action items, speak to us about the timeline of events and things that are happening all around us. But we have to then make that commitment ourselves to really get involved and to really be about the change that we wish to see. So I don't know about y'all, but I am really complacent in this moment to deal with how we restructure and rebuild our communities from the standpoint of us doing it, us being present, us being aware, us being educated, us being informed, and us being active. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back, y'all, with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to the Narrow. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem. All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's. Took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old. 11
years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me
of National Action Network and others, the way I speak with Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people
Keeping
to
it
feel
real.
like somebody
I'm Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for Rev today. Reverend Sharpton is headed to the Met Gala, but it is Hot Button Issues Monday. Certainly, we're taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation, 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us on the message board as people are watching us all over the country via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Certainly, we've been talking a lot about some of these hot button issues that concern us. Obviously, a lot going on with what's happening with the Supreme Court and the Voting Rights Act. And certainly we've been talking a lot about the question, you can no longer can you vote equally. No longer does your vote count as being equal in America. And as we are seeing this time where we seem to be going backwards to a time when, access existed on paper, but not in practice. We have fought those gains and fought so hard to make sure that we have made those provisions available for us. And it seems like everything that we have fought for, well, I will say that thing that we have fought for, being rolled back in various different ways that we're seeing across the country. And we've been talking about what communities should do in this moment, really, to protect their political power. A lot of people were talking about making sure we have the right candidate and what's the right candidate look like, and why can't we have more people running who seem to really reflect our issues and what we need in this moment. There's that. There is the conversation of, well, are the Democrats doing enough? Are we putting out the right information? Are we, getting on the right calls? Are we mobilizing in the right communities to make sure that we amplify the messaging that we need help now? And we need for someone who is in the position to care for us to do that in this moment. And so I feel like we have a lot that we are doing, a lot that we are talking about, but we've got to really put that power on the ballot. We've got to put that power back in the paperwork. And we've got to put that power back where we know we deserve. And that is for all of us. That takes all of us to be involved, to be active, to be paying attention, to be doing something, and to be saying something. So 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And also with this whole GOP push for the late voter roll purging, I think that we need to talk more about that. Certainly Trump and the Republican allies are pushing for states to purge voter rolls closer to Election Day than traditionally allowed. I know we've been talking about it, but the federal law, obviously, that has generally discouraged this within 90 days of an election due to the risk of errors. And people are saying that it's really about the election integrity, as we've been talking about, but also warning, right, that if this were to come into play, how many of the registered voters could be removed? How much confusion could this create? And then, of course, disproportionately, how this impacts the more marginalized communities. And I was talking about that a little earlier. And so if we care about healthcare and we care about, obviously, our prescription medications are going up, the cost for even to see a doctor going up, and we feel like, okay, yeah, well, we may have Medicare, we may have access to some type of healthcare on our job, all of that in question, right? when we talk about even the redistricting conversation, when we talk about even the gerrymandering conversation. So I'm just trying to draw some parallels for all of us to see the dynamics of how close this hits to us. If you don't feel like it relates to you, well, pick an issue in your life, pick something that you're dealing with, and that relates obviously to legislation. It relates to somebody governing, and it relates to somebody making that decision to have the ability to the access or to take that access away. And so that's literally what we're seeing, and the battle for districts and how internally these battles have started to really spun out into the media and spin out into, affecting our daily lives, and spin out into how and where, our funds and resources are allocated. Because now we have to spend more money on things that we didn't necessarily account for in the past. So all of these things happening. And, so the question, becomes is like, how can you give this administration a chance? What does that look like? How do we continue to be adaptable to these situations? And at some point, we've seen the breaking point, but I think at some point we are going to really have that fit in America, if it hasn't already started happening. And we're seeing it. We're seeing how even those who have cast their vote in the past for certain individuals are now changing their minds and saying, oh no, this is affecting me. This is not supposed to be this way. This is not supposed to be happening. Well, it's happening. So now what are we going to do about it? And I think that is where our conversation about power comes in, and the process of power. Because even if you don't change the law, like I said, you can change who actually gets to participate. You can change the process. You can change who has access to this. You can change how that access is being disseminated, how those resources are valued, and who is getting to make those decisions. So I think that, it's not too late. It's not too late for us to get involved. It's not too late for us to do something. It's not too late for us to be, to bring our brothers and sisters up to speed with what's happening. But I think that it's too late for us to stay complacent. I think that it's too late for us to say, oh, okay, this is happening in my community, or this is happening in my jurisdiction or in my world. Let me go ahead and go make this coffee, or let me go ahead and, and do what I'm doing. I think that we have to really give up that complacent attitude and that complacent mindset. That's why, we're talking about what's happening in August around the commemoration of the 50 of the March on Washington, and how, over 50 years ago, we were brought to our knees and rising up in this country to really fight for the protection of our voting rights and the liberty of us to have that right to vote. And then on the other hand, what that leads to, jobs and justice, and talking about how we fought all across the country for the access to have job creations, for the access to have, Black people at the center of constructing and developing business, major business in each city, whether that be in development or elsewhere. We talked about, the ramifications, obviously, of what our fight endures, and how DEI was brought into play after in the offspan of George Floyd, and seeing how our Black brothers and sisters were being gunned down and being killed in America, and then everyone having that eye-opening moment to saying, oh my goodness, this is happening now. These provisions get put in place, but then they're so quickly stripped away from us in the same breath, and we do nothing about it. We sit by and do nothing about it. So that's why we are still marching and still having our DEI Thursdays. I see Evangelist Ramsey. I don't see her on the message board today, but that's why we join together with other activists in the community to say, I want to do something. I want to be present. I want to be involved. Well, this is how we do it. You have to raise the visibility of the opposition in order for people to really understand and realize that there is a possibility for our voices to be elevated. There is a possibility that our voices can be amplified to make progress. There is a possibility that demonstration still matters in these occurrences. And if we don't demonstrate, if we don't raise our voices, then these things are going to continue happening. Whomever runs will be in office, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they speak to our issues and that they necessarily do anything to help us in terms of protecting our liberties and the future liberties, obviously, of our children. And so I think that this is a really critical conversation. I think we can have it on a community level all the way up to the national level. And I feel like we need to continue to be about what we talk about, to be about what we commit ourselves to doing. I feel like that is the time that we're in now. And if we're talking about pointing fingers, or this person didn't do that, this person didn't represent us, and this person didn't do nothing for us, I think we'll continue to have that complacent mentality that we need to really get over. But that's Hot Button Issues Monday. I'm talking to myself. Why don't y'all call in and join me and join the conversation, or message us on the message board. But we'll be right back. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair back.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
There's nothing wrong with that. Now, that doesn't mean you become narcissistic, where you think the whole world's about you. But no, you develop a strong, healthy ego. That's right, I said it. Nothing wrong with a strong, healthy ego that makes you determined to be what others gave up on being, who may have had ability to be it, but they were too weak and they didn't think enough of themselves to do it. Think enough of yourself to do something with yourself. Unapologetic. And it is also in self-awareness and self-acknowledgement and pushing yourself forward. Again, not in a narcissistic way, not in a it's me and only me way, but in a healthy ego way. Where yes, I'm gonna help others because that's who I am, not because I feel less than and I feel that I'm compensating something by helping others. No, I'm fulfilling me. Yes, I'm going to build and strengthen a family because that's who I am, not because I've been beat down to do it. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your achievements. Your first responsibility in life is what you do with you. God already gave you life and certain gifts and talents unique unto you. Now what you do with it, and if you do well with it, celebrate it. Unapologetic.
It's simple.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton here for Reverend Al Sharpton, taking your calls. Let's jump right back into it. I see I got some callers holding on, and I want to get you in because I know we going to be heading out soon. So let me go to Lola. I see my girl Lola holding on, listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD. Lola, good afternoon. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, Dominique, it's so good to hear your voice. I love when you're on.
Thank you. Happy Monday.
Yes, I'm glad to call in. Happy Monday to you, too. So I just was calling in because I've been frustrated and disappointed, disgusted, and disturbed about what's happening in this country. And these are the consequences to us allowing, and not us who voted, but I mean the people who didn't vote and the people who voted for Trump, allowing this man in twice. The first time he got in, he got 3 justices in. So imagine if Trump wouldn't have got elected the first time.
That's
we would have had Hillary, and we would have had some moderate judges. We would have had maybe, even if they weren't left-leaning, they would have abided by the law, what the law states, not leaning towards her or leaning towards a Republican. So there we have that, the consequences of that. Now we know what this person is, and the second time he's elected. And so unfortunately, what I feel is like, when your mom tells you don't touch that stove, don't touch that burning hot stove because it's hot, but then you still touch it and then you get burnt, but then you have some children who don't touch it and just listen, and the other ones, they touch it and get burnt. And I think that's what this country is experiencing. They touched the stove and got burnt twice. And now other people like myself, 98% of black women who voted for Kamala, and the 78% of black men who voted for her, and a lot of other, nationalities and races, because she did get 75 million votes, voted for her. But now we are experiencing the wrath of this administration based off of what other people did, based off of, a lot of people took into voting because they said their pocketbooks, what they really voted for is their race. And so now we're going back into a time where they want black people to be in servitude, like slavery, servitude, and they want white women to be like handmaids. And so therefore, the DEI took away the jobs. I mean, I've seen it where white people were the ones extending in these jobs because of DEI, but they say it's the face of black people. But what people don't understand is, and I guess the white woman, because she's always going to align with the white man because she gets that security and power from the white man, their jobs are being taken away too. And then so that is causing them to have to go home and be home, and then they're going to have to serve under the husbands that they did in the 30s and the 40s and 50s who, listen, let's not be mistaken. I don't know what is wrong with white women, or they've been brainwashed, or whatever's going on with them, but they lived not good lives as well, being beaten, not being able to do certain things. I live in suburbia. I know, I heard the stories. You see white women walking around with black eyes. You see white women not having their own checkbooks. So it's not like they're living some glamorous life unless there's some career woman, but they still feel like they have to vote based on their alignment to white men and what they're going to get from that alignment. And then we have black people who didn't go out and vote. And so now what we're suffering is, unfortunately, the consequences of not taking it seriously. Project 2025 was there. I read it. It took me about 3 months to actually go through the whole thing. It's not something you can read or should read. It was very lengthy. And so, that's not the only thing I have to do. So I sat down, I took it piece by piece, I went to, printed it out, and read it. Dominique, every single thing that they're doing in Project 25 is what is there.
It was written.
They said that, and right. And now people are talking about, I can't make it. Gas in Philadelphia is $4.49 for mid. In Jersey, it's about $4. California, it's like $6. The groceries are high. The Spirit has closed down. The war. So where are we doing great again? But all of this stuff is based on race. And one of the questions you asked was, what can we do now? I think what we need to do is really, really seriously, we can talk like I'm talking and stuff, but I've really been going into the gathering community, gathering our black brothers and sisters, like you said before when you were just talking. Really talking to people, letting them know, like, people don't understand the correlation of if you get a discount on your rent, Section 8. If you get in SNAP when you not, when you got to work or you get unemployment, that stuff is government based. And so when you vote for people who don't care about you, you're not going to be able to benefit from those services. Now people are feeling the wrath of that pain, Dominique. People are being thrown off of their Section 8. People who need SNAP and children who need SNAP are being thrown out. Kids are not being able to they used to get the CHIP program off of the Medicaid program. Children are being thrown off of that. And so now I think people are I hope so. And what I really pray, Dominique, I pray to God every single day that my people are waking up to what has happened, because this pains me and it hurts me, Dominique. I'm feeling my ancestors, Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm feeling Rosa Parks and MLK and all the people who went over the Pettus Bridge, John Lewis, all of them, and the silent people, the teenagers who were out there fighting and being hosed and beaten. And now we're back to almost that era, but we're not fighting like we're there. We're not fighting like I don't understand where people don't grasp that we are in a dire time, and they are trying to take away and are almost succeeding because of the Supreme Court. Because once they make a decision, the decision is there. And so now with them trying to gut all the voting rights, we really have to get out and vote. I think what we really have to do is be with community, be with Black people, and we have to get out. We have to kind of show them, and I hope people are really learning and listening from this, from the consequences that happen from voting for Trump twice, is that you have to vote, that your vote does matter, no matter if you're in the hood, no matter if you're in suburbia, no matter if you are upper middle class, because upper middle class people are hurting as well. The only people who are benefiting from this are the 1% of billionaires who are running this country. And we got to really get out and show them, no matter what you try to take from me, we have to get out there and vote. Because I want to say this, Dominique, and I know you might have other people on. This is the thing. Our ancestors had less than what we do. So I can't get up and complain and say, oh, woe is me. What I got to do is just keep going out there, fighting, talking to people, canvassing, going to meetings at night, going to different namaz, the churches and stuff, and really talking to people, talking to our youngsters, talking to my sons, talking to the young girls, just letting them know your vote does count, because what they're going to do is put you back into a servitude type of position. White women will be at home in a handmaid's tale, and white men will be at the head of this country again, like in slavery times, and no one will be eating and moving along but white men. And so we have to stop this, and we have to get out and vote. We really do, in numbers, in strong numbers.
But you know what, also, Lola, and thank you for saying that, I also feel like, and this is where our community empowerment strategy comes back in, because I feel like you hit on something. You said our ancestors did more with less. And I feel like the less that they did have, I think they utilized what they had, and they did for themselves. So they open up their own businesses. They opened up their own schools. They were, you know what I mean? So it was like, we did it for ourselves. If we were pushed out of a system, we were pushed out. We did it. We created for ourselves, and we did for ourselves. And so I think that, we're talking about what can we do now? Financial empowerment is very important, but it's like, how can you even look to start restoring your credit or any of that when you got to worry about, how am I going to get food on the table? Or how I'm going to gas up my car to go to work? And so I think that we really need to start peeling back those layers, Lola, in terms of the what we can do strategy, and couple that with some, taking some notes from our ancestors' book and doing it ourselves. They're closing the schools, open up our own schools, teach our own children.
Right, but Dominique.
Yes, ma'am.
Dominique, listen to this. The thing is this, though, also. We have gotten complacent. I graduated. I have my degrees. You have your degrees. And I'm not talking about us. I'm just talking about in a whole Black community. We have gotten complacent with the luxuries and the life that, I made it to a certain point that I don't really have to do
look
X,
back.
Y, and Z. But
that's right.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We have to look back, and it's affecting all of us. And so that's the thing that our ancestors didn't have. They didn't have complacency, and they didn't have the luxuries of life. They were fighting for that. They were fighting for equality.
That's
and
right.
I think that we felt like, we already had equality, so we don't have to continue fighting. But the fight will go on. I felt like, maybe we did make it to a good place. But the thing is, even in my lifetime, in your lifetime, we probably around the same age, we are going to have to continue to fight until the day we die.
Of course.
So we have no more breath. And that's going to be until all of Black people are on this earth. And I think we have to get into the barter system. We have to get into, if you have a car, we have to get into stop being selfish. If you know that it costs a lot of money and somebody you start talking to people. Like, say if me and you lived in the same neighborhood and there was two other people. Okay, which way do you go to work? Which way do you go to work? Okay, well, let's put in this $20 for the week or $30, and we'll do that car system that people, the
carpool.
Carpool.
Yeah.
Let's go buy fruit. Let's go buy, if we have excess fruit, let's go to the produce market. Let's start sharing. We have to stop being selfish in the community of Black people. We don't have the right to be selfish the way that our ancestors fought for us. We don't have the right to just think about us as a singular person in a singular family when all other families are hurting, because those are the ones who might not go out and vote because they don't have money, they don't have gas, they don't have a way to get there. But you do.
Lola, I gotta leave it there. Thank you so much. Thank you for all those that called in on this Hot Button Issues Monday. Reverend Al will be back with us tomorrow. Thank you for all those that joined us on the message board and left your comments. And for those that hung on anyway, we'll talk with y'all tomorrow, whatever you do, wherever you go and however you feel. Y'all gotta tell people. Reverend Al told you, Dominique is telling you, you gotta keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. We'll talk with y'all tomorrow.